Ladies and gentlemen, I will start the formal intro just in a moment. But we are getting ready. We are just loading in. Right now for round 7 out of 8, the penultimate round of Season 4 of the Virtual Formula League. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another week of racing. It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock. You're used to me saying that by now. And it is VFL Season 4, Round 7, the penultimate round of Season 4 of VFL. And it is really heating up right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go in depth into the Drivers' Championship standings just in a moment, but this battle really is going down to the wire. Now, if you don't already know, this is an incredibly short season for Season 4 of VFL. Only 8 rounds long. This is round 7 of 8 Canada. Last week we were in Silverstone, and next week is, of course, the final round in Interlagos, Brazil. But man, this championship battle really is kicking off. First of all, I do apologise for the delay. It's 17 minutes past 8 in the UK right now, so we were about 15 to 20 minutes late on the start of qualifying. But it doesn't matter too much. I also started the stream, and then I had to close the application because it wasn't letting me join the lobby. So I think there were actually 2 streams that were going up live on the YouTube channel then for a moment, but it's all been sorted out right now. And man, this is insane. So whilst we're on board with one of the Haas drivers, Jono2345, I remember he did really, really well in Silverstone last week, or perhaps it was Baku, I can't quite remember. But we're on board with him right now as he starts his flying lap, and I get all of this on. I am just going to explain how absolutely insane this championship really is turning out to be. So, just checking the standings right now, we have Mr. Dark Inferno in P1 of the championship in the Ferrari. He's going through the Walter Champion chicane, starting his flying lap right now. He's leading the championship by 19 points over Tom Taylor, who is in P2. Tom Taylor still chilling in the pits right now. And then in P3 of the championship, 8 points behind Tom Taylor, and therefore 27 points behind Dark Inferno in the lead of the championship, is Robert DS, also in the Ferrari. He's just leaving the pits right now. He is obviously our Season 2 World Champion. He's an incredible driver. He's got a lot of experience behind him. He's one of the OG VFL drivers from Season 1. But he seems to be struggling this championship a little bit. He had to miss last week's race in Silverstone, so that's why he's so far behind, 27 points behind his Ferrari teammate, Dark Inferno in P1. There seems to be a yellow flag in Sector 2 and 3, and I actually think that is caused by Dark Inferno letting through some of the cars in front. However, yeah, so what I was just about to say is, Robert DS in P3, he did miss the Silverstone race, of course, do not forget, but he is still quite a few points behind. I believe he was in P2 of the championship when he missed that race. So Dark Inferno just seems to be unstoppable right now for a Season 2 former world champion to not be able to catch up to him. Dark Inferno really has been a man on a mission. And then the final driver I'm going to mention is Nice Job Mate in the Mercedes, and he was actually Robert DS's former teammate last year. He's chilling in the pitch right now, so we'll stay on board with Dark Inferno for a moment. And he is only 5 points behind Robert DS and about 33 points, I think 32 points maybe, behind Dark Inferno in the lead. So that's what I mean, incredibly tight top 4 runnings with Tristan06 in the Williams, Steph's teammate for this year, and he's getting a pretty good, in fact he's giving a pretty good slipstream to Steph right now down that back straight. Well, chilling in P5. So there we have it, the top 5 drivers of this championship. We have Dark Inferno, Tom Taylor, Robert DS, Nice Job Mate, and Tristan in P5. And let's see if Steph can get a really good lap together. He's just gotten a gorgeous slipstream from his teammate there. And he hasn't invalidated, and that is an incredible lap from Steph. He goes second fastest with a 109.7, or just shy of. And at the moment we have GX Scorp in the McLaren. I haven't seen too many races with GX Scorp in them, so I'm not too sure what his performance is like. But at the moment it seems to be pretty incredible. 109.2, just slower than a 109.2, but man, that really is incredible. But Mirko has just beaten Steph's time by only 4 milliseconds. And it's on the mediums. If you haven't noticed that, that is an absolutely incredible lap time for the medium tyre. And Mirko is going to be incredibly happy with that. Not too sure whether he's going to go for a faster lap time on the softs, or whether he's going to actually stick with that lap time and try and get a top 5 start on the mediums. That is going to be fascinating. That will help him out so much in the race. So yeah, I've spoken about the top 5 drivers. Constructors is pretty simple. Just off the top of my head, I believe it's Ferrari in P1 and Mercedes in P2, and it really is a battle between them two. It's quite a large gap between the top 2 and then the rest of the team below. I think Red Bull's up there, I think Williams is up there, but then again I could just be saying that because Mirko and Steph are doing quite well this quali. But yeah, this really is an interesting championship, guys, and it's so fascinating because Dark Inferno hasn't been able to string together a good championship throughout the history of VFL, and now it just seems like the stars have aligned for him. He's always suffered from a bit of bad luck before. He's always had the pace, but he just hasn't had the consistency, and now it seems like everything is going his way. P1 in the championship, 23 points ahead of Tom Taylor, who is yet to string together a lap. Now, just looking at qualifying, we actually have 3 drivers who have retired from quali. Now, I'm not too sure whether that is due to quali bans or DNFs. I know that Swiss retired literally straight away, so I'm pretty sure that is down to a quali ban. But I think Robert DS and Darsam may have legitimately DNF'd, but I'm not quite sure. Right, let's quickly check. Yeah, I do think that Swiss had a qualifying ban, but I'm not too sure if any other drivers have. But then again, that is just me guessing. I have no idea. But that is really interesting, especially for Robert DS. He's really going to be struggling. I'm sure he's not going to be not fighting for the world title, even though we've only got 2 rounds to go and he's got about 27, 28 points to catch up. He's not going to be giving up this close to the end. But he's going to have a lot of work to do in P14. And it'll probably be even lower once the rest of the pack are able to string a lap together. That could be Robert DS starting all the way down in P18. We're missing a couple of drivers, of course. I think we are missing one AlphaTauri and a Alpine. JKS's teammate and Swiss's teammate. So he will be starting in P18, not P20, but that's still going to be extremely tough. And hang on, there was a little bit of commotion there between Dark Inferno and Tom Taylor. I think Tom Taylor's abandoned his lap. Luckily, Dark isn't on a flyer. Yeah, that was a little bit tricky. You don't really want to be going side by side through turn 3, if you can help it. But, yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left in qualifying, and not much has happened. GX Corp is still right at the very beginning. If you're just tuning in right now, GX Corp, fastest lap, a 109.2. And Tristan, literally just as I'm speaking right now, is able to pop a 109.3 and go P2, and that's on the softs. That's an incredible lap time. And I've just realised that I'm actually looking at the time for the current tyre, not the fastest lap, remember. Mirko, and it's only just showing now, Mirko has set a 109.694 on mediums. So do not be fooled, Mirko is absolutely on fire right now. And what I'd be meaning to mention is it is likely going to be a 2-stop in Canada. It's probably the only track I would recommend a 2-stop on, unless you want to kind of take risks. Canada is the only track in which the 1-stop, the soft-medium strategy, is probably the most riskiest strategy. So I would definitely recommend a soft-medium-soft, or even a medium-soft-soft, in order to kind of make it to the end of this race, because you've got extremely high tyre wear. But that's not the only reason why I recommend the 2-stop. Canada has got by far the quickest pit stop in the game, because not only do you skip out 2 chicanes, but it's a 49-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit, meaning with that all added up, I think you only lose about 19 seconds in the pits, and you gain so much more time than that on a fresh set of softs with about 10-15 laps to go. So yeah, this is really going to be an interesting one, guys. Based on the strategy, I feel like a lot of drivers are going to be making some final minute calls. And yeah, that's really going to separate the drivers into 2 categories, I think. Those going for the 2-stop. Oh! Just on board with Steph there, and he just loses it through the turn... Is that turn 3-4 chicane? And he's obviously not on a flying lap. He's just trying to get back to the pits quickly. He's just ended up causing himself a huge delay. He ended up hitting the grass, losing the back end, and now he's kind of driving around with no wing. But yeah, so strategy is definitely going to be interesting, this one. And you've probably already noticed, I am unfortunately all by myself this race. Gooders is running a little late, and he's going to try and join the lobby halfway through the race. We had a little bit of a moment there. Dark Inferno a little bit squirrely outside the final chicane. Very interesting. But yeah, so Gooders is trying his best to get back home so that he can join the lobby as quickly as possible, and hopefully he'll be able to join us for the race. We've still got a long time left. Just about halfway through qualifying. Just over halfway through qualifying. So he's got plenty of time to rejoin us. Dark Inferno entering the pits. Not much is happening right now. Might as well follow the Haas driver, Jono 2345. He's on a fastest lap, a flying lap even right now. He's actually 3/10 up, but he's just invalidated. So no point in following him. Nice job, mate. Enters the pits. How about the Alfa Romeo driver of Ghosty Riots? I think, I could be wrong, but I do think this is his first drive for VFL. And it's a tricky track, Canada, it's quite a tough track to string together. And if it's your first race in VFL on Canada, I do not pity Ghosty Riots right now. He's got a lot of pressure behind him, I'm sure. But he seems to be doing quite well. He's, what was that, like 15 seconds up on his previous lap time. He's a little bit squirrely outside the Wall of Champions chicane, but it doesn't matter. He sets an incredible lap time. In fact, It's not as incredible as I thought. It's still a very good lap time, only 1 second shy of the third row of the grid. That's a 1:10.4, and that is just how close the top drivers are. And I believe that is Jono, and he's letting through the Aston Martin driver. I do apologise. Cole was epic. Of course, he's partnered up with MOC. He isn't actually partnered up with MOC this year. I'm not too sure who his teammate is, but I do definitely remember that MOC is a reserve because he was racing for Ferrari last week in Silverstone, I'm pretty sure, and he actually got a really strong result. I remember MOC. He got a very strong result indeed. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong again, guys, but I think that the winner of last week's race was determined pretty much on luck alone. The safety car came out at the perfect opportunity for the medium runners to bang on a fresh set of softs, and it allowed them to end up doing really well. I think MOC was one of those drivers. He came about P4 in the end. I think the winner of the race isn't actually driving for us right now. It was, I think it was Cass? Whoa! Talking about MOC, he's just absolutely lost it around turn 4. The exit turn 4, and he has just DNF from qualifying. Luckily, he has already strung together a 109.750, which will probably get him in the top 10. But that is the last thing that MOC wanted. He was looking incredibly strong. Yeah, just back on board with Cole was epic. I think he's invalidated his lap. But we could follow Sky. He's half a second up on his previous lap time, and he's only up to like turn 3. We've got a wheel just sitting there in the middle of the track. So let's be on board with Sky right now. Incredible driver, very good at qualifying. One of the best qualifiers on the grid actually is Tristan, and he's matching his best outing right now. So it'll be interesting to see, yeah, whether Sky can string it together. He's a little bit squirrely outside the third chicane. And he's just heading towards the hairpin now, 2 tenths up. Panning back over to Tristan. He's getting a juicy, an absolutely incredible slipstream from his teammate Steph. And he's just about a 10th down on his fastest lap time. But it's a lot of time can be gained or lost through the Wall of Champions chicane. And he does that incredibly well. And that could be a new fastest lap. I wouldn't be surprised. And it is. It's a new fastest lap, ladies and gentlemen. A 109.020. Just panning back over to Sky. And unfortunately, he is able to improve by about 1.5 tenths, but he isn't able to move up any positions. He's only 2 milliseconds shy of MOC. But yeah, incredible drive there from Tristan. And I'm sure that slipstream from Steph would have helped a lot. It's worth about 1.5 on that incredibly long back straight in China. What am I talking about, boys? In Canada. It's because I was thinking about the incredibly long back straight to China. Can't believe that. Bit of a blunder there from Sick Boy. Let's go over to GX Scorp. He's about equal with his fastest lap time, and he's incredibly squirrely through the Wall of Champions chicane. And he abandons his lap. It isn't any quicker. Looks like he's on wheel, which is interesting to see whether that will give him any advantage. And he's bringing out the yellow flags. He's crawling around that so much. I've just noticed as well that Mirko has actually improved on his lap time. He's on the softs, so now he's in P2. But Dark Inferno's fastest lap is actually on the mediums. I have said it to show the tyre choice of the fastest lap. He's on the mediums, and he's managed to set a 109.4, which is great news. And Sky does eventually improve by 363 milliseconds. He's in P5 now. But Dark Inferno, 4 tenths up. That will be about a 109.0. He set a purple second sector. He comes through the Wall of Champions right now. He's right on the edge of pole, and he does get it by about 40 milliseconds. 45 milliseconds actually quicker than our previous provisional pole timer, Tristan 06. And he's into the 108s, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first 108 of this qualifying session with only 2:20 on the clock. That's a 108.875 for Dark Inferno. Incredible qualifying right now, and that really sings a lot for the championship. Whilst Tom Taylor's all the way down in P18, hasn't set a lap, Dark Inferno, leading the championship by 23 points, has just gone and made a statement. Provisional pole position with only 2 minutes left in quali. I don't think Dark's going to be able to set another lap time, so that is going to be his final lap time. But we've got a whole set of drivers just leaving the pitch right now, all the way down from Mirko, all the way down to, of course, Tom Taylor, who is still chilling in the pits, and he's just leaving the pitch right now. He's left it a little late to start a lap time. I'm guessing Tom Taylor just keeps on invalidating. I'm not too sure. But yeah, let's up and down the grid and try and find. GX Scorp's on a flying lap right now, but he's about halfway through the lap. Steph is on a flying lap. He's just come through. He's not on a flying lap, sorry. He's already past the 130 mark. He's just starting his flying lap right now. Cole was epic. He's just coming out of turn 3. Going into turn 3, I believe. Let's be on board right now with GX Scorp in the McLaren. One of the first drives he has done in VFL. I think he's a new driver this season for Season 4. And he's about 1.5 tenths up on his previous lap time. So that will probably set him alongside Mirko in P3. So this is an interesting battle for P3 going on right now. Dark Inferno retires in the pits so that he can spectate the other drivers. And GX Scorp invalidates through the Wall of Champions chicane. He just runs over that white line by about an inch. But an inch is enough because he's just invalidated his next lap as well. Yeah, he has. So that is the end of qualifying for GX Scorp. Just panning up and down. You've got Cole was epic about equal on his last lap time. Steph is now going to receive a slipstream rather than give one. Let's see if Tristan can give as good of a slipstream as Steph has, and that is a pretty great slipstream. Heading into the Wall of Champions, he's got a little bit of dirty air from the car in front, and he strings it together quite nicely. It's a good exit from the Wall of Champions. He's carried a lot of speed through there, but he's abandoned his lap. I'm not too sure what happened there. That's really odd, because he looked like he was about alongside his fastest lap time, so I'm really unsure why he's just decided to abandon his lap on the line, because it looked like he would have been able to improve right there. But Cole was epic has just been disqualified from the session due to being wrong way, and that's incredible news, because Cole was epic, if he's disqualified from the session, he starts right from the very back of the grid. Yes, he has. He's just been pinged right down to P18, and that is very crucial for all of the drivers. Cole was epic, I think, was about P5, P6 before he got disqualified. I'm not too sure what happened with Cole, whether that was intentional or whether he just ended up spinning around and getting disqualified. Half of the drivers now have retired from the qualifying, and in fact JKS has just retired. I'm not too sure whether that was an incident or whether he's retired in the pits. But I tell you who I'm following. I'm on board right now with Tom Taylor. He's yet to set a lap. Any lap time right now will ping him all the way up into P13 at least. Right, this is really big for him. He doesn't invalidate. He was so careful around the Wall of Champions. He's on the softs. Is he able to beat Nice Job Mate's lap time? And he is. In fact, he's able to ping himself all the way up into P10, meaning he has to start on the soft tyres. And that is the end of qualifying. Apart from Steph. No, Steph is not on a flying lap. Mirko is the final driver to cross the line. He's able to improve his position by 1 position. The Red Bulls are still sharing the second row of the grid, but they've just swapped positions. It's now Mirko in P3 and Connor Kidd in P4. And yeah, Nice Job Mate has crossed the line and Steph's in the pits. That is the conclusion of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. And I must admit, that was quite an intense one at the very end. Final minute disqualification from Cole, meaning that he's not starting from P5, he's starting from P18 right at the very back. That's absolutely heartbreaking, but you see it all when commentating these races, ladies and gentlemen. But Dark Inferno on pole position with an incredible lap time. The only driver to get into the 108s with a 108.875. He's going to be poling it alongside Tristan on the front row. And man, Tristan is just an incredible qualifier recently. He's been blowing away my expectations. I think he's actually started on the front row of the grid for quite a few. Or at least he's done well for quite a few of these races in VFL. Mirko and Connor Kidd, the 2 Red Bulls, sharing that second row of the grid. And then we have GX Scorp in P5. Ghosty Riots on his VFL debut, I'm pretty sure, in P6. That is a great result. Obviously, this is just qualifying. Anything can happen in the race. We have Sky in P7, Steph in P8 for the Williams, MOC in P9. He DNF'd, if you cast your mind back. It seems like so long ago. About 7 minutes into qualifying, he ended up DNFing. Tom Taylor in P10, JKS in P11, Jono P12, Carper P13, Nice Job Mate P14, and then the rest of the drivers were either received a quali ban. I'm pretty sure that Swiss got a quali ban, and I'm not too sure what happened to Darson and Robert DS. I think that they just DNF'd. Of course, Cole was epic, disqualified for being part backwards or whatever. I'm not too sure what happened, but unless it was intentional, I'm pretty sure that Cole was epic is not going to be happy with that. Man, that is an interesting quali. And I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing my voice travel at 100 miles an hour. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break right now, whilst the drivers get ready on the grid for the race. I think that is about as much of a break, as much silence as you are going to get whilst I am in the commentary box alone, at least, because I was just about to say, normally this is the time that I start going to my co-host, whether it's PJ or Gooders or even Pantalon UK last week, who did a very good job on his first Tier 1 commentating race. Normally I ask them about, what they thought about qualifying, their predictions for the race. Of course, it's the PJ pre-race prediction. But I'm all alone in this commentary box. It looks a lot bigger when you're the only person in it. A lot of cobwebs. Yeah, it's a little bit lonely in the commentary box all on my own, so I'm not going to be able to ask anybody their thoughts, but I may be able to add a few thoughts of my own. Like I said during qualifying, I do believe it's going to be a two-stop race for the majority of the drivers, which is really going to shake things up. And as always, just quickly looking at the tyre choice. Of course, softs for the top 10 drivers, but JKS and Swiss are the only drivers in the bottom 10 who decided to start on softs. We have mediums for Jono, who seems to have had a bit of a kerfuffle during the formation lap alongside, is that Tom Taylor as well, who has spun around. But yeah, Jono Carper, the two Hasses, nice job mate, and Darsan, and of course Robert DS and Cole right at the very back of the grid. Two very experienced drivers right at the very back. They're all starting on mediums, so they're going to have a bit of a worse start off the line, but I'm sure they are going to have a lot more durability throughout the race. It will be interesting to see whether any of the drivers maybe go for the medium-hard strategy, but I wouldn't recommend it. The hards are very tricky to use around Canada. You're losing a lot of time every single lap around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I could be wrong, and many drivers could be going for the soft mediums, but I do think that the fastest strategy, although it may seem a bit risky, the fastest strategy is definitely the two-stop. Me and Dark were aiming for the two-stop when we were doing the esports race. Of course, the season's ended now, but I might as well squeeze in a quick shout-out. VFL set up their own esports team. We joined a league called IKR, Inside Curb Racing, which is a team-based F1 league. And we've been racing every single Tuesday afternoon for about 2.5 to 3 months. The season's ended now. We ended up coming P5 against some of the quickest teams in the world, so I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, I couldn't have done it alone. We had Robert DS, Dark Inferno, Steph Racing, and many others. It really was incredible, but enough talk about IKR. It's time to talk about VFL. The penultimate round of the season, round 7 of 8. Of course, Dark Inferno leading the championship, and Tom Taylor in P2, all the way down in P11 right now. P10, sorry, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. But here we go. 5 lights. And the Canadian Grand Prix is underway, and it seems to be a pretty decent start from all drivers. It looked like a bit of a delay for some of them, but Ghosty Wright's an incredible start. He already makes 2 positions. He's on the inside of Conakid, and Conakid goes a bit off the track. And Ghosty Wright's, what an incredible start. He's gained about 5, 6, 7 positions, but Steph, right at the very beginning, I'm not too sure whether he had a spin or something, but he's lost all positions. He's all the way down to P18. Nice job, mate's lost a couple positions as well. And this is incredible. They're going side by side. Swiss and Nice Job Mate into turn 5 or 6, I believe. And there we go. Swiss has gained P12. Ghosty Riots, what an incredible start from the man in the Alfa Romeo on his VFL debut. He's already overtaken Tristan, ladies and gentlemen. He's in P2, and he's hunting down our race leader, Dark Inferno, who's about 1.2 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. And looking down the grid, there's not really a close battle happening anywhere apart from Steph on those softs, of course, has got so much traction compared to Cole was epic, and he gains P16 heading into the hairpin at the very end of the track as we head all the way up from P16 all the way up into P1. It's looking pretty calm out there for Dark Inferno, all the way in about 1.5 seconds in the lead of the race right now. And Ghosty, oh no! I can't believe it! I can't believe it. Ghosty Rights has just DNF through the wall of champions after such an incredible start. A virtual safety car has just been called, and that will surely slow the action down. I can't believe it. Ghosty Rights had an incredible start, gained about 5 positions from, what was it, like P5 or P6 all the way up into P2. Gained like 3 or 4 positions, and it was an incredible start. And he's DNF'd on the first lap of the race through the wall of champion chicane. I can't believe it. Man, that really is heartbreaking. I'm not actually too sure what to say. Ghosty Riots, that was such a good start for him. I was witnessing history. It was just on fire. And then a DNF on lap 1. That has really shaken things up. Man, what a start of the race. But yeah, my heart really goes out to Ghosty. This is absolute drama right now, ladies and gentlemen, on the first lap of the race. The only driver who we thought, or at least I thought, was going to be able to hunt down Dark Inferno for the win, has just DNF'd on the first lap of the race. And now Dark has got about a 3-second gap to Tristan behind. And we're very used to this by now. Dark Inferno leading the race by a country mile. He did it in Bahrain round 1. Is he going to do it in the most recent race in Canada, round 7? He's been very cautious through the Wall of Champions indeed. And is that wing damage for Tristan on lap 2? He's already heading into the pits, and that could be the same for Conakid as well. It's interesting how he didn't actually pit, and it is wing damage for Tristan, wing damage for Conakid, and wing damage for Das, and it must have all kicked off on lap 2. And Cole was epic as entering the pits as well, and that has allowed Steph to ping his all the way up into P12. He's now sitting behind Robert DS. Right, quickly moving over to positions gains. I think we'll sit on this one for a while. No penalties down the whole of the grid. Man, this is interesting. I have no idea how so many drivers were able to get wing damage, and they must have gotten it on lap 2, because why wouldn't you pit at the end of lap 1 when the virtual safety car was just called out? Very interesting, just looking up and down this grid right now. It seems like it's quite spaced out, apart from JKS at one point was only about 2/10 behind the Haas driver Jono 2345 in P7. He gets the DRS, but of course everybody gets DRS, including Tom Taylor. He's right on the back of Sky right now. And I tell you what is interesting, GX Scorp, I don't know how he's done it. I think he was in P3 to be fair, and then he's just gained position on Tristan. He's lost all of that effort that he put into qualifying. It's all been thrown in the bin because he's now all the way down into P14. He's on the mediums, and surely he will be going for the 2-stop, because those mediums are not going to last until the end. Jono, 2345, has just turned around on the exit of turn 2, leading into the turn 4-5 chicane. And I can't believe it. He's lost a load of positions, and I believe that is wing damage as well. Let's see if we can get a good camera angle on it. It's not showing up on the feed, but yeah, that may not be wing damage, but he's definitely crawling around the track, probably due to his hot tyres. Man, this is really something. Really interesting race going on right now. And we've got a bit of a train forming from Sky in P4 all the way down to Swiss in P8. That's quite the train forming. And of course, just in front of them, we've got a bit of a battle happening for P2 between Mirko and Scorp. No overtakes are happening into the Wall of Champions chicane. However, Tom Taylor is incredibly close to the back end of Sky, and he may be going for a move into turn 1. In fact, he does go for a move. GX Scorp isn't going for a move, and there we go side by side into turn 1, but the outside line is proving to be beneficial, because it then turns into the inside line around turn 2 for Sky, and it means that Sky has been able to cling on to that P4 position. But Tom Taylor's now trying to go for a move along the outside into the first chicane, and once again it doesn't work out for him. He just ends up going onto the grass and losing a lot of time, and that has allowed MOC in the Aston Martin to catch up to P5 and P4, incredibly much so. He's right on the back of Tom Taylor, but he's lost a little bit of time. Man, this is an intense race happening between P4 all the way down into P8. They are literally front wing to gearbox right now. This is absolutely incredible. And I'm getting a little bit blocked up, a little bit hay fevery out here, but hopefully it doesn't affect the commentary. This is a really good race at the moment. This is really interesting. Right, Tom Taylor, he's gotten a really good exit out of the hairpin right at the very end of the track, and then you've got this massive run down. It's such a long straight, it really is, and he's been able to take Sky into the Wall of Champions. And yeah, it's pretty clean, and Tom Taylor of course gets DRS again because the activation zone is so early on. But if I was Sky, I'd be worrying about MOC right now. He's going for the outside move, but Mirko has just spun. I've just noticed it, and he's got red hot tyres right now, and he's just lost it again, and he's really on the edge. He's kind of drifted around turn 2, and he somehow managed to hold on to his car, and look at him, he is literally crawling through right now. But I'm on board with, hang on, JKS is going for a move on Sky, and it's a crazy dive bomb. He absolutely hits into the side of Sky. Swiss is getting involved as well. And it was a three-way absolute kerfuffle for P5 between Sky, JKS and Swiss. They were banging front wings and rear wings like crazy. I'm surprised nobody's got wing damage. Sky was kind of forced off the track a little bit then, but I'm trying to keep up with what's happened. Mirko has spun, and GX Scorp, I think he's gotten a penalty, but is that a 5-second time? It is. It's a 13-second time penalty for GX Scorp, which seems to me like he's received a 5-second time penalty for taking out Mirko. So I'm not too sure whether that is true or not, but GX Scorp has got a 13-second time penalty, and I think he's got wing damage. He's just heading into the pits right now, and this is absolutely major for the race because Tom Taylor is now in P2, 1.3 seconds behind the rest of the pack that is behind him. And yes, it is wing damage for GX Scorp. This is absolutely incredible. Mirko chilling right now in P7. He lost so many positions due to the possible collision between him and GX Scorp. But I think Scorp has actually come off worse because whilst Mirko's chilling in P7, Scorp has ended up joining his McLaren teammate all the way down in P14. Man, this is insane. Robert DS, who did start the race in P17, I do believe, all the way up into P8. He's already gained 9 positions. Let's quickly check to make sure that is true. Yeah, 9 positions. Incredible. And just checking the penalties right now, MOC has somehow managed to give himself a 5-second time penalty. I'm not too sure whether that was due to a collision under the VSC, whether that was due to speeding in the pit lane, but he hasn't pit, so that could be due to contact. I'm really not too sure, but Swiss with a 3-second time penalty. Man, this is really shaping up and down the grid. But Robert DS right on the back of Sky. I mean, he pretty much overtook Sky before he even got DRS. And yeah, that was an extremely easy overtake for Rob DS for P7. And I'm not too sure whether Sky's got wing damage because he's entering the pits right now. I was just about to say, Sky's lost about 5 positions in about 2.5 or 3 laps. And it's another driver going for a wing change. This is now Sky, Tristan's gone for a wing change, Connor Kid, Scorp, Darsan, Jono, Cole. All of these drivers going for wing changes. The only one who's spun and not gone for a wing change is Mirko, and I believe Steph also went. I'm not too sure. I think Steph was spun around lap 1. I'm not too sure whether he went for a wing change because he's already all the way up into P8. Man, this is insane. Carper 99 on the back of Steph, but I doubt he's going to make a move into this chicane, the final chicane before the hairpin. And this is really shaking up to be something, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the drivers who have all pretty much pit or binned it. I think that's pretty much nice job, mate, down. And then we've got the rest of the drivers who are in a bit of a train, but like a 1.3 second gap train. Swiss really lacking ERS right now. In fact, he's almost fully run out. But yeah, we got a bit of a train running all the way from MOC all the way down to... You could maybe even throw Carper 99 into that equation. Steph is flashing a red light, meaning he's harvesting ERS, meaning he's got less than 10% in the bank, and it seems like a lot of drivers are really lacking ERS. Hang on a minute, Robert DS almost went for a move on Mirko into the turn 4-5 chicane, but he pulled out, and that was a smart thing to do because that is never a place where you want to be sticking your wing up the inside because it's almost a guarantee that you're going to completely spin out of control. And just behind them is Steph and Carper 99. And yeah, like I said, a lot of drivers seem to be struggling with ERS right now. But Carper 99, he's going for a move around the outside of Steph, heading into the chicane. And yeah, to be fair, he's actually about a car's length ahead of Steph before they even got to the braking zone. Robert DS about 4 tenths behind Mirko, battling for P6. And it's almost a guarantee that he's going to launch an overtake. But Dark Inferno right now, 6.6 seconds in the lead. He is absolutely loving it. This is his race to lose, absolutely. He's got 70%. Yeah, I was just about to say, a lot of drivers seem to be struggling with ERS. They seem to be really running out quite quickly. Apart from a couple of outliers, we got JKS on about 50%, and of course Dark Inferno has got about 70%, because there's absolutely no need to use it. I think he's going to be banking that up for his fastest lap attempt, because otherwise you don't want too much ERS even if you're in the lead, because you don't want to as soon as there's a safety car, when you ping your ERS right up to 100, pretty much guaranteed, that's just wasted time. Wasted speed, so at least for JKS, there's a bit more of a reason to be banking his ERS. He wants to try and get as much as possible to make a move on MOC. And the race is calming down a little bit. Up and down the pack, we've still got a little bit of a battle between Stefan Carper for P7. We've actually got quite a bit of a battle happening between Tristan and Connor for P10, but Tristan's already got a 3-second time penalty. And this is really going to be a factor for the race winner. I do believe that. Because... hang on, I've just realised... oh, okay, good. I am using the correct microphone. I just thought to myself, I may have been using the wrong microphone the whole time. Swiss is making an early pit stop. I don't think that was a wing change. I think he's the first driver on the end of lap 10 to transition from softs onto mediums. Surely he'll be going for the two-stop strategy. Soft, medium, soft, I think is most likely. Or maybe even soft, medium, medium. I remember that esports race that me and Dark did, and the soft, medium, mediums were definitely a strategy that I kept in my mind, because these softs really do drop off quickly. That is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I was just about to say that I think the time penalties are really going to affect this race, because Canada is a track in which you get time penalties galore. Not only have you got the Wall of Champions, of course, which is so easy if you just run over the left-hander of the Wall of Champions chicane. If you run over that white line, just like JKS has done just now, he would have gotten a penalty for that, or at least a warning. If you run over that white line by even a millimetre, you are going to get a warning. And a lot of drivers have fallen victim to the 3-second time penalty in this race, and I really do think it's going to be a benefactor for the race winner. Because, yeah, really, really tricky race. That's all I'm going to say. Really tricky track to not get a 3-second time penalty in. And even Dark Inferno has to be careful, because it's also a track, very likely, that we'll see a safety car with all the tight walls and everything. You're racing right on the very edge. And all it takes is one little snap of oversteer, you know, and you're in the wall. Safety car's been bought out, and that 3-second time penalty that Dark Inferno may or may not get before the end of the race is going to feel like a 15-second time penalty, because good luck pulling 3 seconds out after a safety car with only a handful of laps to go. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if even the race win is decided through penalties, but at the moment, unless there's a safety car, I don't think Dark Inferno is going anywhere but staying in P1. Talking about Dark, at the end of lap 12, he's the first or one of the first drivers, I do apologise, because Swiss just made a pit stop earlier. One of the first drivers to dive into the pit lane, and he's going onto the mediums. MOC behind is also going for a stop onto the mediums, so is JKS. We're going to see a pattern emerge here, ladies and gents. Nice job, mate, and Tom Taylor, the two Mercs, have decided to stay out, though. Some of the only drivers who have. And Dark Inferno has now left the pits, and this is really interesting for Dark, because I want to see how much traffic he gets. And the answer is barely any at all, because he comes out ahead of Nice Job, Mate, and the only drivers ahead of him are Robert DS and Tom Taylor, and they are absolutely miles ahead of him, about 4 seconds. So, yeah, Dark Inferno really did benefit from that 7-second gap. I don't think the same is going to be the case for Tom Taylor, though, because you've got to take 7 seconds from Dark, and that's where Tom will end up. And if you do that, that will be like all the way down here in front of Mirko, battling for P8 with GX Scorp right behind this deadly train. I've just realised that it's emerged, running all the way from Nice Job, Mate in P4 all the way down to GX Scorp in P8. Talking about Scorp, he's going for a bit of an impromptu move on the inside of Conakid, round the hairpin, and that has not helped him at all. All that's done is just given him a terrible exit from the hairpin. Jono gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple track infringements. And Tristan is already on the mediums. I think he had to go for a wing change, so he isn't going to be diving into the pits. And neither is Tom Taylor or Nice Job, Mate. I do apologise. Nice Job, Mate started on the medium tyre, I do believe. Oh, hang on a minute. GX Scorp is going for a crazy move on the inside of turn 1 on Conakid. But it doesn't matter. Conakid's so much later on the brakes, and he's able to get that inside line through turn 2 and keep P6. And we've got a yellow flag, sector 2. I'm not too sure what caused that. In fact, it is. It's a white car, and that is Jono, who has DNF'd, but it isn't a safety car. white car. Yes, it's a Haas. DNF'd in Sector 2, and I did say that DNFs were very likely, but I did not expect the safety car not to come out. Man, if the safety car came out, that would have helped a ton for Mr. Tom Taylor all the way here in P1. Surely, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a pit. Right, just quickly checking the amount of stops. So the only drivers who haven't stopped are Robert DS and Nice Job Mate, but they started on the mediums. So the only driver not to stop off the softs is Tom Taylor, and he's decided to go another lap. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I have clocked on to exactly what Mr. Tom Taylor is going to do. I think he's going to pit at the end of this lap. He's going for the one stop. He's definitely going for the win, and the only thing that he can think of, and it's a smart move, the only trick he has got left up his sleeve is to go for the one stop on Dark Inferno, who will almost certainly go for the soft, medium, soft two stop. Now, of course, the two stop is faster, but if Tom Taylor can park his car in the middle of the road, it can surely be extremely difficult for Dark Inferno to pass, especially if he's got a low downforce setup. It can be surprisingly tricky to launch an overtake into the Wall of Champions. Just on board with Tristan, he got a bit of a snap of oversteer outside the second chicane. And that means that Konikid is right up his gearbox. In fact, I say that, GX Scorp in the McLaren is even closer to Konikid behind. This could be a three-way overtake. Scorp is going to go for another bit of a crazy move on the inside of Konikid into the hairpin, but this time it has worked. No, in fact it hasn't! He squeezed Konikid. He didn't realise he was side by side with him. Scorp went right to the edge of the track, right to the wall, took the racing line. He didn't realise that Konikid was still alongside him. He thought he had backed out. Both drivers just end up getting squeezed into the wall. Scorp gets turned around, and Konikid, who's got wing damage. Neither driver has wing damage, but I tell you what, that did really cost them time-wise. They've lost about 2.5 seconds due to that incident, and I'm sure that will go to the stewards, because Konikid can surely not be happy with what Scorp did just then. I think it was a mistake on Scorp's end. I don't think he realised that Konikid was still alongside him. But, yeah, that was very interesting. Now, Tristan, a bit late on the brakes. Not too sure whether he's got wing damage or something, but he completely missed the first chicane, and he's ended up getting a time penalty for it. But man, this race is really heating up to be something. You've got Tom Taylor and Dark Inferno, the two championship protagonists. Of course, Dark is about 23 points in the lead. But Tom Taylor is going to be stretching his tyres out into a one stop, whilst Dark is surely going to be going for the two stop, and he's so quick out there, he's almost caught all the way back up to Tom Taylor, who's still yet to stop. Man, this is really incredible. Not too sure whether Tom is going to want to stay out for another lap and try and slow down Dark Inferno at all. That's maybe what I would do if I was Tom Taylor. But let's see, is he going to enter the pits? Yes, he is! Right, this will be interesting. It's a pretty slow entry into the pit lane. A lot of time can be gained by braking as late as possible into the pit lane. And yeah, this is really heating up to be something. We've still got a battle between Scorp and Konikid. This time they were side by side through the Wall of Champions chicane, and Scorp ends up getting ahead again. He's in P6 now. But Swiss is now going for a move on the inside of turn 1, and that means that Konikid gets the inside into turn 2, and they're going to be going side by side into turn 3, 4 chicane, whatever I've been calling it this whole time. And he isn't able to make an overtake. That was a pretty nice move from Swiss there. He definitely sees the opportunity to go on the inside of Konikid into turn 1, but he wasn't able to make it stick. So, here we go. Got a bit of a battle going on. Tom Taylor has finally left the pits, and he has witnessed an absolute tragedy, ladies and gents. He's 1.5 seconds behind MOC, who is 4 seconds behind that absolutely crazy train that is leading all the way up on JKS, all the way into, I think you could probably say, about GX Scorp or even Mirko. Or even, to be honest, you could probably stretch that all the way to P3. Nice job, mate. Still yet to pit, of course, because he started on the mediums. The only drivers who started on the mediums, of course, are Robert DS and Nice Job, mate. So they're not actually in P2 and P4. And the only other driver, I believe, was, I think, every driver, actually, outside the top 10. Apart from, like, Swiss and somebody else. So, yeah, very interesting indeed. It'll be interesting to see whether Nice Job Mate perhaps stays out long enough to help Tom Taylor, but I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to. just taken a moment to kind of catch my breath, because this has been an absolute full-on commentary from start to finish. This race has been insane, with all the battles happening up and down the grid. Right now, I think my eye is on GX Score, and Mirko particularly is right on the back of Nice Job Mate right now. Of course, Nice Job Mate on those really old 18-lap-old medium tyres. Mirko on very fresh, about 5 or 6-lap-old tyres. It's going to be the easiest overtake of Mirko's career. He's ahead of him, about 2 cars ahead of him before the braking zone. Very easy overtake. Swiss really is lacking ERS right now. He's kind of been right on the edge of running out of battery juice for the entire race. We're on lap 19 of 35, and if you're only just tuning into the stream, do not worry. You have missed quite an insane race, but I'm sure you can watch it back. Our championship leader, Dark Inferno, is in the lead of the race, and he is in the lead. It isn't any provisional nonsense. He is in the lead of the race by almost 6 seconds, and he has just been dominating from start to finish. Meanwhile, the driver in P2 of the championship, 23 points behind, I believe, is Tom Taylor, and he is dragging out to a 1-stop, I'm pretty sure, because he did maybe about a 7-lap overcut on Dark Inferno on the softs. Hang on a minute, Tristan is actually going for a bit of a crazy late move on Robert ES into the Wall of Champions. And we've got a side-by-side happening between Mirko. It's all kicking off, in fact. Robert ES is losing quite a few positions, and he's just lost his position to Mirko and Tristan, who have just gained P2 and P3 from him. Mirko, wow, is on those old medium tyres, and they really aren't working for him. And I think we had a bit of a battle happening down the grid as well. Yeah, Nice Job Mate has lost quite a few positions as well on these mediums, because, of course, I think both Robert ES, Nice Job Mate, and Tom Taylor are all going for the 1-stop. I wouldn't be surprised if we see drivers like Dark Inferno, and especially Swiss, who was the first driver to pit off of his softs, to pit for a brand new set of softs very, very shortly. You're maybe looking at about 9 laps before the end, so maybe about lap 22, 23, because they're obviously going to want to drag it out by a lap or 2. Right, this is what I want to watch. Mirko, Tristan and Robert ES all battling for P2. Mirko gets the DRS, and is he going to launch a move on Tristan? Of course he is, and he's gone for the switchback. He's on the inside line, and that's a very easy overtake for Mirko. Scorp gets another time penalty, and now he's right on the back of Robert ES into turn 1. He's going for the inside line, and we've seen the inside line into turn 1 not actually help a lot of drivers this race, but it's helped GX Scorp. He gets P4, and Robert ES breaks extremely early and just kind of lets him through. I think Robert ES right now is just waiting for a safety car. Of course, Robert ES is only P3 in the championship. I think he's only about 33 points behind Dark Inferno, who's in the lead, of course. But yeah, what I was going to give is a quick rundown of the race. Of course, we've got Dark Inferno in the lead. We've got Tom Taylor, who's going for the 1-stop. But what happened to the 2 DNFs? So Johnny, 23.45, DNF'd about 10 laps ago, but Ghosty Riots had an absolutely insane start. He's a VFL debut. I think he qualified P5. By the end of lap 1, he was in P2. But also, on the end of lap 1, he ends up DNFing around the Wall of Champions chicane. And yeah, DNFs on lap 1. It really was a tragedy. JKS is the next driver to launch a car up the inside of Robert ES. And Robert ES has just decided to pit. To be honest, smart move. He's just decided to give up and pit because, of course, he would have lost a lot of time going side by side with JKS. So he decides that this is the perfect lap to pit and perhaps save about a second rather than going side by side with JKS for the rest of the lap. And he comes out, of course, right at the very back, but a lot of these drivers are going to be pitting again. I would not be surprised if we see Tom Taylor rocket up the table right now, because yeah, a lot of drivers are going to be stopping again around lap 23, lap 24, and if I'm wrong, then hats off to these drivers who are able to drag out these mediums for as long as they are. And if any drivers do decide to two-stop, then they will definitely have the advantage. It's about 1 or 2 seconds quicker. Wow, Tristan incredibly late braking into the hairpin, and he actually gives Scorp a little bit of a bump up the rear. And it means that he might not be able to overtake Scorp heading into the Wall of Champions chicane. Scorp's harvesting, he's run out of ERS, and that means that final minute boost off Tristan, or more like a final minute loss of BHP from Scorp, has meant that Tristan is able to get that P3 after all. And now JKS has also been going for a move on Scorp. Scorp's completely run out of ERS, and this train in the middle, ladies and gents, like I said, if you're just tuning in, this has been going at it for pretty much the whole race. This whole battle for P4, at one point it was a battle for P2, but Mirko and Tristan have kind of just raced off on their own. Nice job, mate, is now also pitting off his mediums, and I believe Sky is the first driver to perhaps two-stop who hasn't hasn't lost his wing. I think Sky's the first driver to cycle onto his second set of softs. Did Scorp just bump JKS up the rear a little bit, heading through the third chicane? I'm not too sure, but they are kind of going at it. Scorp is now on the inside of JKS racing into the hairpin, and it's happened again! Scorp has not left enough room on the outside, and he squeezed a driver. I think it was Konakid who he squeezed last time, and now he squeezed JKS. He squeezed the driver into the wall, and it hasn't worked though, because JKS has got an incredible exit from the hairpin, and he's taken Scorp, but now Swiss is on the inside of Scorp, and Scorp has broken incredibly late, because I believe he wanted to enter the pits, and he's just hit JKS up the rear. And with a velocity like that, I'm not going to lie, I do think Scorp is perhaps going to have wing damage, but he hasn't pit for a new wing, but he has pit for new tyres. I wonder if that was a bit of an impromptu pit by Scorp. I don't know whether he intended to do that. I reckon that he missed his braking zone so much that he just decided to pit. Hang on a minute, Carper 99 has just retired from the session in the pits. I do apologise, false alarm, ladies and gents. It is in the pits, no safety car will be called, because if that was the case, that really would have turned things upside down indeed. Oh dear, ladies and gentlemen, I need to catch my breath a bit. You can tell I'm getting into the commentary when my ladies and gentlemen starts coming back. Man, this is an insane race right now. Konakid, he's one of the only drivers so far to cycle onto his second set of softs. And let's see how much pace that will give him. Because if I was a driver like Mirko right now, maybe not if I was Mirko, I think if I was Tristan, I would perhaps cycle off my mediums and go into softs. Yeah, and he does, especially if JKS is side by side with him into the Wall of Champions chicane. You don't want to lose like the 2 seconds that it takes to ease off, let someone through, and then battle with them with dirty air for another lap. Tristan makes the good call, and he decides to pit off his softs at the perfect time with 10 laps to go. Yeah, Tristan, like I said, is in pretty much the perfect position. In P3, he's got drivers behind. He's in the perfect position. He's got nothing to lose. Perfect position to go for the two-stop. And he just comes out behind GX Scorp, which is probably the last thing that Tristan wanted to see, because GX Scorp has had a bit of a track record this race of, shall we say, slightly dangerous driving. I think that's a bit of a fair assumption to make. And GX Scorp had actually just paused the game. He's now AI. I'm not too sure whether that's a glitch on my end or whether he actually is AI, but Tristan's going to notice that, and he's going to try and go for a move on Scorp, but instead he just ends up hitting the back of Scorp, which is extremely interesting. I'm not too sure whether Tristan can see whether Scorp's AI or not, but I do think he is AI. Anyway, Swiss. Tom Taylor even has just made a move on Swiss, 4P4, and Swiss is going to stay behind, but JKS is the next driver to pit onto the softs, and Mirko has also pit, but this time he's gone onto a new set of mediums. I think that is a mistake from Mirko. You do not want to go onto a fresh set of mediums. It's either that, ladies and gentlemen, or it's that Mirko had to either choose between a fresh set of mediums or an old set of softs. You see, this is one of the only races in the game, Canada, in which a two-stop and going on 2 sets of softs is pretty much the preferred strategy, and therefore it's the only racetrack in the game in which you need to conserve a set of softs during the qualifying. Of course, you only get 1 fresh set of softs, and if you started outside the top 10, that means you need to save a set of softs and only use 2 sets of softs during qualifying. Basically, if anybody has decided to leave a set of softs for qualifying, then their hard work has definitely come to benefit them later on in the race. Especially Konakid right now, he's on the softs, he's absolutely ripping it up. He is miles ahead of GX Scorp already. He's like overtaken a crazy amount of drivers. No, I believe it was JKS actually who tried to overtake GX Scorp, but even so, he's pulled out 2 seconds. But then Scorp's an AI. Anyway, Swiss on the inside of Tom Taylor. Very, very, very late braking, and I think he actually extended track limits then throughout the second turn of the Wall of Champions, that left-hander, but hey ho. Doesn't matter, Swiss is in P2, but Tom don't care because Tom is pulling out for the 1 stop. This is really interesting for Dark Inferno. Imagine if he gets a puncture with like 1 lap to go. That would be insane. But yeah, what I'm saying is I don't think Tom Taylor cares that Swiss is in P2 because Swiss has got a load of time penalties. Yeah, there we go, 6 seconds. And Steph's just picked up another 3 seconds. Yeah, almost every single driver in the lobby has actually got time penalties, and this could be really good for Robert DS, who is going for the 1 stop. He pitted off his mediums, I think, lap 20, meaning he's going to try and make it 15 laps on the softs, and that's exactly what Tom Taylor did, except he started on the softs. So we'll see what happens, but going back down the grid to this train that's happening down here, Conakid is going for a move on the inside of Steph, heading into the hairpin. That's a bit of a strange place to overtake. Normally you want to hang back and get the DRS, but of course Conakid gets the DRS anyway, and Tom Taylor regains his P2. And yeah, Conakid actually holds on to the P7 that he gained by overtaking Steph through the hairpin. But let's see if JKS, he's going to get DRS again, of course. Oh, that was a bit close. That was a bit close. He was extremely close, actually, to losing the rear through the Wall of Champions chicane and just flat out DNFing right there. But yeah, he... I was about to say, let's see whether he can go for a move on Tristan, but it wasn't to be. And just look at the grip difference between Robert DS and Conakid. About an 8-lap difference on these tyres, and Gooders has just joined the party, ladies and gentlemen. He's just entered the commentary box. I can hear the door shutting behind me.
Hello, I'm so sorry about the timing. I did not expect to be back as late as this, but fill me in. What's happened through the race?
Oh, it's been absolutely crazy. I've got crazy pins and needles in my foot, so I've actually just had to stand up. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So as you can see, Dark Inferno leading by a mile. You're not in the lobby though, are you? Are you able to?
No. I'm just joining now. I'm just joining now.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. No, so for the viewers as well who've just joined in, like Gooders has, Dark Inferno's been leading since lap 1. Ghosty Riot, who DNF'd, ended up getting a mega start. He qualified P5. He was in P2, and then he DNF'd lap 1. The 2 Hasses have DNF'd. I think Carper retired in the pits. And then the rest of the drivers, it's been absolutely crazy. There's been a train from like P3 all the way down to like P10 for like the entire race. And now half the pack have decided to pit again because the 2-stop strategy is definitely a viable strategy in Canada. So half the pack have stayed out and are going for the 1-stop, including Dark and Tom Taylor. And half the pack have decided to go for the 2-stop, like Conakid and JKS. In fact, he was going side by side with Steph right now, heading into the second chicane. And they do end up giving each other room, and JKS ends up gaining P8. But he's got 2 cars behind him right now, and Steph just brakes early. He lets through Tristan, and he gets the DRS, I'm sure, on JKS Racing. But Tristan gets a far better exit from the hairpin. Then he eases off again, and it means that Tristan is the man with DRS right on the back of JKS Racing. And Tristan's got a 9-second time penalty, so there's not much of a point in trying to go for the move on JKS. And in fact, he doesn't. But yeah, so apart from that, yeah, it's all been kicking off. But I'm just going to make one more note, is the fact that Tom Taylor dragged out his softs by an extra like 6 or 7 laps compared to Dark. So his mediums are about 7 laps younger than Dark's. And there could be a risk of a puncture for Dark Inferno because yeah, because he pit I think about lap 11, meaning he's been on these tyres. He'll be on these tyres for like 14 laps, and that is literally close to puncture territory. So he's still got 5 laps to go. Yeah,
it's going to be a close one. Well, I mean, I just look now, and Tom Taylor's 9.5 seconds behind Dark Inferno. So Dark is doing absolutely insane this race.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then, like you said about this like little train going on from about P3 all the way down. There's been about,
yeah,
wow.
It's insane. What's interesting about Tom Taylor is that when they both entered the pits, I think Tom Taylor was about 7 seconds behind Dark, but Tom Taylor's had a load of traffic. Meanwhile, Dark had zero traffic whatsoever. He basically got a free pit stop because he was so far ahead of the lead. So yeah, Tom has fought really well to be right behind. But yeah, so Dark Inferno is going to be on these mediums for 24 laps. And yeah, there is definitely a risk of a puncture on the final lap of the race, and that will be incredibly interesting.
It's going to be a very close one then, I'm guessing. I mean, Robert DS I've seen up from P17 was qualifying.
Yeah.
Did he not have the best of qualifying?
No, he actually DNF'd right from the very beginning of qualifying. I'm not too sure whether he had a quali ban, but he did leave the pits and he was on the track, I think, and then he just flat out DNF'd. He lost his tyre. I'm pretty sure, so yeah.
Looks like he's worked quite hard to work his way back up anyway, back into P7 now.
Yeah, alternate strategy. He started on the mediums, one of the only drivers to do so, and he's had a bit of a quiet race, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, a couple like surprises from a couple of the drivers, to be honest. I mean, Nice Job is only in P11.
Yeah.
As he's about to make an overtake on Steph as well, coming up to Wall of Champions, gets it done as well.
Yeah, that was an easy overtake for Nice.
And gets the DRS. Oh, Steph. Yeah. Steph also. Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah, Steph's got a crazy penalty. If you ping over to penalties real quick. 21 seconds for Scorp. I think that is because he has been driving a little dangerously. I must admit, he's definitely going to be in the steward's room at the end of this race. There was a collision between him and Mirko. Mirko, by the way, has recovered incredibly well. I think at the end of like lap 3, Mirko was backwards and he ended up losing about 10 seconds. He collided with Scorp, and that's how Scorp got 15 seconds of time penalty. And then I'm pretty sure he's gotten the rest just on kind of cutting. I think he's got 9 seconds of time penalty on cutting. So yeah, very interesting.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like it's been an absolute wild race to commentate, and then again, I'm so sorry that I've come this late. I feel so bad, but I thought I messaged into the Discord and said I might not be able to make it. I don't think I'll make it. Then I got back, I saw the stream, I was like, I think it's better to join and do a little bit than nothing at all. So I thought I'd jump in for the final couple laps and the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry at all about being late. It's all about whether you turn up or not, of course. Even if you turn up with like 5 laps to go. It's been a mega race. I mean, if there was ever a race that I'd want to be solo on, it would be this one, because I've entertained myself with the amount of carnage that has been kicking off.
Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like it's been alright. Well, not too bad on your end then. I mean, it's a couple of... Is there some... what are they called? Reserves? Are there quite a few reserves in today?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So Ghostly Riots in the Alfa Romeo, who's DNF'd, of course, I think that is the first time he's raced for VFL. And like I said, it was a ridiculous start. He, I think, qualified in P5, and by the end of lap 1, he was in P2. He overtook Tom Taylor, and he was catching up to Dark Inferno. He had mega pace on him. But then he DNF'd through Wall of Champions on lap 1. He just took too much speed, hit the sausage curb, and just blew up. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's iconic, isn't it? That little section. So, that's unfortunate then from him. I mean, hopefully he can come back and get a couple more races in, get a little more practice in before the start of next season, because of
absolutely
the short season's coming to an end now, isn't it? Towards the end.
Penultimate race next week is the final race in Brazil. And I do actually think that if the race finishes like this, Dark Inferno will win the championship, because he'll gain about 4 or 5 points over Tom Taylor. And that means that he'll be, I think, 28 or 29 points in the lead, which means he wins the championship if he's 30 points in the lead. So it'll be interesting to see.
Definitely. I mean, what happened to Tom Taylor? I mean, he's been overtaken by Mirko as well. I didn't even catch on to that.
Yeah, so Mirko just got a great exit at the hairpin. But to be fair, Mirko's got a 3-second time penalty, so I do think Tom Taylor's going to finish in P2. And I do apologise if Tom Taylor does finish in P2, then Dark Inferno would not have won the championship, but it will be close. It will be like 28 points in the lead, meaning he's got a DNF basically to lose the race.
Yeah. Well,
to lose the championship.
All comes down to next week then, which is crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it's been the short season that we've had, because we're preparing for the next game. It's been a fun one, to be honest. I think it's been one of the better ones for Tier 1 as well. It's been quite fun to commentate.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The races have been absolutely wild, from the start Portugal to the one that I did in Azerbaijan as well, and now you said this was a good one. I think you said, what was the one after Portugal? Did you say that was a good one as well?
Saudi Arabia. It was absolutely crazy, mate. It was like, it was an adrenaline rush. But yeah, I completely agree. I think that these shorter seasons are just so much better, and I think that's why a lot of the drivers have been making these crazy moves and have been causing all of this drama. Is because it's such a short season that one good result. Like, I mean, look at Cass, for example. He dominated in Saudi Arabia. He won the race. I don't think he's actually raced since, but he's all the way up into like P8 in the standings, because it's such a short season that one win is worth so much. So, man, I just love these short seasons. I'm going to say it again. I've said it many times before. I'm going to say it again, but I do think that we need to do more of these 8-round championships. But I mean, you might as well call it. Dark Inferno, he's just won the race, and Tom Taylor will surely, there he goes, he takes P2 due to Mirko's time penalty, and then finishing exactly where they qualified, Mirko and Konakid in P3 and P4, MOC in P5, that is a good recovery from MOC, he DNF'd in qualifying, qualified P10 I believe, Robert DS P6 from P17 on the grid, insane, Swiss in P7, nice job mate, P8, JKS P9, Tristan and Steph P10 and 11, Sky in P12, Darsan in P13, and Scorp in P14. And Cole was epic. It's been a really bad race for Cole, so we got disqualified from qualifying. I just realised that Scorp's got an unserved penalty. Was that a drive-through, perhaps, that he didn't serve, or something? But yeah, so what happened to Cole was he got disqualified from qualifying for being parked in a dangerous position, I think, or driving backwards or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he lost his wing, and then it's just been really bad for him. And then Scorp as well. Not the best of races at all.
Oh,
and then I'm not too sure.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen, sorry.
I was just about to say, sorry. I was just about to say that I'm not too sure what happened to Scorp, because he was battling for like P3, P4 for most of the race, and it's finished in like P14. I'm not too sure what happened, but
yeah.
I've been talking way too long, so you just take it away with your thoughts.
I mean, well done to Dark for P1, and it seems like he's had a great race, great drive. I mean, finishing about 5-6 seconds in front of second place, which is incredible. And I think I can't remember if I did see it correctly, but did he have any penalties, or
he didn't? He didn't. Perfect race.
Well, I mean, so yeah, incredible from him as well. And did he qualify P1 as well, or?
Yes, that is correct. So he polled it. He did not get fastest lap. Fastest lap goes to Cole was epic. So he polled it. He won the race. He gets 27 points. And just quickly checking his race director, I want to see whether he's gotten any warnings. Wow, he actually was on 2 warnings. So
close then.
It was close.
I mean, yeah. So well done to Dark as well, and Tom Taylor. It seems like the 2 Red Bulls have had a great race as well. They've shot back up from, I think the first couple of races weren't the best for them, I think, but
yeah,
it seems like they've worked hard to get back up as well. And so the final race, it's going to be a fun one next week when it all comes to a grand finale. So
yes, absolutely. And with this result, with Ferrari just itching out Mercedes, I believe that Ferrari are going to be about 45 points in the lead of the Constructors' Championship heading into the final round. And then when it comes to the Constructors, actually, I've just realised it's an incredibly tight battle from P3 all the way down to P7. There's only like 30 points separating like 4 or 5 Constructors, so that's mad. But anyway, there we go. I have invited Adam Kessels, Mr. Dark Inferno, of course, to the voice chat, and let's see if he joins. I'm not too sure if he's going to. Just as he joins, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for the Tier 1 Round 7, the future Tier 1 VFL World Champion, Mr. Adam Kessels. Hello.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Brazil's the worst track in the calendar for me.
I have heard that. I've heard that you struggle in Brazil. I mean, the amount of times that I've witnessed, if you don't mind me mentioning, the amount of times that you've DNF from Brazil. So if we cast our minds back to the first VFL World Cup, you DNF'd on lap 1 around turn 4. If we cast our minds back to that 2-player career, you just kept on DNFing against Lando Norris's AI.
Yeah.
He's not a fan of Brazil, I get the impression.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I do think that you're leading the championship now by about 29 points, meaning as long as you turn up and get 1 point for coming P20...
Wait, 29?
You've won the championship. I think you're about 29 points. Let me check. So, being 26, how many points does P2 get?
22.
Okay, so you've gained 4 points. In fact, you gained 5 points because you got 27. So, I do apologise. You're actually only 24 points in the lead, not 19.
Nice.
So, if you DNF and Tom Taylor wins, which is likely if you DNF that Tom Taylor will win, then it could be a final minute swap. But what is likely is that Sick Boy won't be winning the Season 4 World Championship. I don't know what he's been doing all season. Ain't turned up to a single race. Like, what an idiot. Oh, man. So, I think it's time for some questions then. This is how that whole interview thing works. How did you... I mean, there's not really much to talk about. How did you pole it? Win the race by 10 seconds, lead every single lap. I mean, did you do a lot of practice or something? You should be revising for your A-levels.
I've actually got an AS tomorrow, so I can't teach this for very long. But for qualifying, I was shitting bricks, mind my language, because I was setting 9.7, and I was like, nah, this is terrible. And I only had one run to do something with a soft compound tyre, and I managed to pole it, no idea how. So I started on pole, which is cool, and then I put in 0.6 extra fuel.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, because I'll come back to that. So I got off the line pretty well, leading to turn 1, and then I didn't really know what happened after that. I just pulled a massive gap to everyone else. I don't know if that was because they were all fighting or something like that, but I gained a huge gap. So I just ran my own race for a bit, and then pulled like a 10-something gap to Tristan or whoever was behind me. And then I looked at my MFD, and I had no fuel.
Oh dear.
On lap 15.
Yeah, what, like literally negative?
No, it was very close, I think it was like 0.1.
No, okay.
And I was like, oh my god. So the whole race, what was it, 25 laps, I had to just fuel save my way through the entire race. I have no idea how I won, because I could have sworn, I was like, nah, I'm not winning this by a mile. I've got no fuel. It just vanished.
Yeah.
And then somehow I did win. Mirko was coming though, he was so quick.
Yeah, he did have a lot of pace. He had a time penalty though, of course. And then at the start, it seemed like the only driver that was going to be able to catch up to you was the Alfa Romeo driver. I'm pretty sure it's his VFL debut, Ghost something. And he was on fire, and then a DNF lap 1. I mean, yeah, so what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, that's it. Your tyres, of course. You, on like lap 12, and then you decided to go for the one stop. I just want to know what percentage those mediums were on at the end.
45%.
Is that all? No way.
Yeah. Bear in mind, I haven't been fuel saving the entire race.
Yeah. Honestly, I am surprised, because I thought that would be... I was talking to Gooders about, like, a possible puncture. Like a DNF inbound on the final lap, and it's like 45%, you're kidding me?
Not even halfway there, mate.
Oh, mate, that is next level tyre strategy. I guess the
Checo
final...
Perez.
Definitely a Checo Perez. So yeah, the final question I guess I could ask is next year's game. Only releasing in a couple of weeks, I think. Do you think it's going to suit you from what you've read about the physics and everything? Are you looking forward to it? Are you a little bit worried?
I'm a little bit worried because the entire physics has changed, which hasn't... I don't think it'll be a major issue, but the major issue is low-end traction. I am the worst on traction on these type of games.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever see me spin out, it's traction. No other reason, it's just traction. On the hairpin, coming out of Canada there, that hairpin, the moments I had to like correct that oversteer so many times, I was really sweating to not bin it throughout the entire race.
Yeah.
So now that it's been made more difficult, I don't know if I think it's just made it worse for my driving style, because my driving style is very aggressive. It's very slam on the brakes, slam on the throttle, and hope for the best. But it's changed now, so I don't know if it'll suit me.
Mate, you need to get that PS5 adaptive triggers. I've just realised Gooders have got a PS5. You can vouch for me, Gooders, that the triggers lock. You're about to oversteer.
Definitely, yeah, they are.
It's OP. It is. It's literally an unfair advantage. I do credit all of my successes to the PS5 controller. I was rubbish in F1 2020. I tell everyone that, but it's true. It's the controller. Honestly, it's OP.
PS5.
It's the PS5. Yeah.
I need to buy it. To be honest, I need to.
You do until they remove that feature from F1 22. Imagine that.
Yeah, that'll be annoying. Anyway, I gotta go study for physics.
Oh, there we go. He's working hard. Adam Kessels, all the best for all of your exams, man, because
Thank you.
I never sat my AS levels because COVID hit, so...
Really? You're lucky you are.
I am.
Yeah, very lucky.
I am very lucky.
I'm sweating everywhere already.
Well, all
Friday.
the best. I hope you win the VFL Championship, which
you.
is a bit biased. I can't believe a commentator's saying that, but I have always admitted I've got the Adam Kessel bias. And I hope you do well in those exams, so...
Thank you very much.
There you go. Okay, well, I think it's time to end the stream. I think Dark's about to leave, but I might wrap this. I might give this wrap up to Gooders. Actually, you joined late. You might as well do something.
Never really done anything like this before. Thanks everyone for watching the race and tuning in. You know, same time next week for the final race of the season, where you'll see Dark and Tom Taylor battle it out for the drivers' champion. So make sure you're there for that, and also Sunday at 8 o'clock as well. Or sorry, 9 o'clock.
He's remembered. So is it actually 9 o'clock?
I think it's 9 because of the
Canadian
actual
Grand
race.
Prix. Of course. And don't forget that's they're 1 week behind, so it's the Silverstone GP next week on Sunday. For Tier 2. But yeah.
So I'll hand over to you. I don't really know how to.
No, you were doing a great job. Honestly, I was just going to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.